Registration is quickly coming upon us, and today officially we were supposed to be closed because it's Columbus Day, but we said no way, we're going to stay open because there's only 2 more days left before registration. We want to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to register to vote, which registration closes on October the 10th, which is this Wednesday. Another key date you might want to note is that on October 31st is the last day to request an absentee ballot by mail. That's very important. The last day to request an absentee ballot by mail so they can get here in time for us to send out the ballot to you. And last but not least is November the 5th is the last day to vote in person here at the election board for an absentee ballot. And you can only vote absentee for 5 reasons because St. Louis, Missouri is not an early voting state. You have to have a reason to vote absentee. And I'll let Gary go into more detail of what those reasons are and what's coming up regarding some more key dates for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and good morning. There is a misconception sometimes about early voting because I think our neighbor in Illinois may be, we are not. So you have to have a specific reason, and those includes being out of the jurisdiction on election day, working for an election authority such as the St. Louis Board of Election Commissioners, but that does not include working as a campaign worker for a candidate who's running for office. It could also be if someone has a permanent disability and cannot get to the polling place on election day, if they have a religious objection to voting on that particular Tuesday, or if they're incarcerated. So there are valid reasons where one can vote absentee, and if a voter falls into one of those categories, absolutely either come in or request an absentee ballot by mail. We also wanted to share with the voters some sort of helpful hints on how to facilitate the process on election day. We all anticipate a huge voter turnout, which is wonderful, and so voters can help their own experience in a number of ways. One would be sure that you go to the right polling place, and that may seem self-evident, but with redistricting, a lot of lines have changed, wards and precincts have changed, and in some instances, a voter's polling place has changed. So when they get their notice of election card in the mail, that will spell out for them where they need to be and the ward and precinct. That's very important because in order to vote, you have to be in the right polling place. In addition, if a voter is not sure if their voter registration information is current, if they've moved, for example, in the last several months, they really need to check with the election board and make sure that their registration information is up to date. Number 3, they have to have some form of voter ID. It does not have to be a photo ID, and the card that we send, for example, is an acceptable form of voter ID or the permanent voter registration card, whatever. But this piece of paper will be very, very helpful because the one for November will also include a sample ballot. Everything that's going to be on the ballot on November the 6th, which includes candidates and judges who are up for retention, and there are a number of propositions. So if a voter takes the time to look at that card and maybe even mark it for their own benefit and bring that with them on election day,